Hi everyone, thank you for joining me tonight and it's 9 p.m. I hope you guys have caught up on your dinner and I see that people are still joining in. Please tell me from which places you are joining us today. And I am Shruti. I mentor applicants for MBA admissions for different schools, and today we are going to discuss who gets into ISB and what are the 5 key qualities of a successful ISB application. So while I share with you 5 key qualities of a successful ISB application, I've also compiled and tried to address a few questions that I get in the counseling sessions. So what is a good GMAT score to secure admission at ISB? Round 1 versus round 2, which is better? What's the optimal years of work experience to get into ISB? GMAT, GPA, work experience, what matters most? Scholarships, waivers, and any other queries about the ISB application process if you have. So the way we have planned to take up this session is that we have divided the discussion into some aspects. I'll be sharing those aspects with you gradually. If you have any queries or any comments to share on on that aspect, kindly put it forward and we'll take it up then and there. So here's the magic recipe you've been waiting for. You want to get into ISB, get a strong academic score, get a great GMAT score, a well-researched career path, a strong recommendation letter, excellent essays, and a great interview. So is it really, is that it? Is that what we are here for? Not really. Had that been the case, the one that I mentioned previously, then the average GMAT of ISB should have been 780. Why, in fact, is it 710 at all? So there is definitely something more to the story over here. So let's see what it is. The first key to a successful ISB application is to understand what matters. So you have your academic scores, you have your test scores, you have your work experience. You need to understand, to put it into perspective, and to be very clear how it adds value to your profile, to your application, and how will it matter in the whole application process. Now, there are two parts to this discussion. One is the academic score and the GMAT score or the GRE score. And the second part is the work experience. So let us take it up one by one. First, coming to the academic scores versus the test scores. 3 points over here once again. What do you write? Do you write the GMAT or the GRE? Does it really matter? Which GPA is important? So what is it about the academic scores which is important over here? And what is a good GMAT score to secure admission in ISB? So to address the first part, GMAT or GRE, does the school have a preference? Apparently not. Not that I've seen in the application process with my applicants till date. Now, whether you write the GMAT or the GRE is another question. To address that question, the best way that I would suggest is to write a mock test to see what format of the test you are comfortable with. Why I say format is because both of these tests, tests are slightly different in their orientation. When you are preparing for the GRE, you need to look at the vocabulary more. When you are looking at the GMAT or preparing for the GMAT, you need to look at the logical reasoning part more. So that is applicable both to the quant section as well as the verbal section. So take a mock test and then decide what are you more comfortable with. At the end of the day, you're going to spend 3 or 6 months from the day you start preparing for a test and then trying to achieve a score along with continuing with your work as well. So you need to set your direction pretty well, understand what you are made of, which test is suitable for you, and then put your time into that rather than preparing for 3 or 6 months, failing in one, failing to achieve a desired score, and then planning for the next test, and you will lose out on the application cycle in the meantime. Now, the second part is the GPA. So what is your GPA? What is the academic score that needs to be looked into most importantly? That is the last degree which you have completed, which might be bachelor's in some case, master's in some case, CA or the ICW in some case. So before you start fretting about your 10th and your 12th grades, First, you must consider the GPA in the last degree completed and see where you stand. Again, if you are scoring low, if you have scored a low GPA, then you need to look at the trend. Is it a trend in your previous GPAs or your previous grades as well? If that is a trend, then you need to do something to reverse the trend. So probably taking up a graded course where you get a score or you get a certain grade which reverses that trend, which shows your academic potential, along with the strong GMAT or GRE, will be more beneficial in the case of a consistently low GPA. If for a GPA which is lower than average GPA, if you have an average GPA and you score a higher GMAT or a GRE, then probably those two will compensate against each other. So a high GMAT or GRE can be said to compensate a low GPA, but in that case we are talking about a range of a low to an average GPA. If it is lower than average or marginally lower than average, then in that case you need to look at the trends and you need to also look at whether you can take up a graded course that will add more value alongside a strong GMAT or a GRE score. The third point over here is, what is a good GMAT score to secure admission in ISB? For every school that you apply to, you always get a range of scores that the school declares. Trust that range. If you look at ISB, the range that has been declared for the class of 2022, I think this is from the placement reports, is a GMAT range of 610 to 780 and a GRE range of 313 to 338. Now, for a competitive application, scoring above 700 and scoring above 325 vis-a-vis the rest of the aspects of your application is a competitive score. How competitive is for you to decide. One, there are two cases over here. One is that you have tried enough and you still think that, okay, I am not able to score beyond a certain point on the GMAT or the GRE. Then should you apply or should you not apply? Yes, you should apply, because you are at least within that range of the scores which the school has admitted in the past. The second case over here is that you have achieved a 710 or a 700 and you still feel that, okay, I'm prepared for better, but I could not do the best on that test day. So in that case, then you should go in for a retake, try a retake and see how much better you secure. Because if you have a higher, as high the GMAT score or the GRE score, it will still add value to your application. It is not that it will remain, at a certain point in time, your application becomes immune to getting a high GMAT score. It will always help your application. So if you think you can score a 740 and you were prepared for 740 or 780, then you go ahead and retake the test. A higher GMAT score will always help you. But if you want to look at a minimum or some, a certain target score, so a target score close to an average GMAT score for the school that you want to apply to is a good number to go with. Another question over here is whether for the ISB application, can you submit the test center report or the unofficial score report? Yes, you can. You can submit your ISB application with the test center report or the unofficial score report, upload the screenshot or upload that PDF of the report over there, and simultaneously you must arrange to send the official score report from the GMAT or the GRE official sites. A point of caution over here has happened with a few applicants previously as well. Keep a track. Once you've submitted your application, keep a track that your tests and your official reports have reached the school. In case they haven't, you might have to follow up with the GMAT or the ETS official websites for the score reports to be dispatched. This brings us to the second part of the key element that is important for a successful ISB application, that is a good understanding of where you stand and then planning according to your profile, according to your achievements outside your workplace, your achievements at work, planning which round you want to submit to, whether you want to go in for the round 1, whether you want to go in for the round 2, what matters and how do you want to present yourself to the school. Coming to the round 1 versus round 2 discussion, if you have a good profile, if you have presented a good application, a strong application along with a strong interview, you will get an admit whether you submit it in R1 or R2. There's no rush. I don't think you should rush at all. Now, round 1 versus round 2 can be dependent on one more thing, which is the eligibility for waivers. So when you are considering to apply to round 1 or round 2, the difference that comes with between both of these is the eligibility for when you are applying to round 1, you are eligible for a full tuition fee waiver, or if you are applying to a round 2 or round 3, then you are eligible to a maximum of 75% tuition fee waiver. What is a tuition fee waiver? It is a merit based waiver which is awarded on the basis of the profile scores that you achieve in the selection process. So ISB awards around 40 applicants, 40 admits starting from 5 lakhs onwards, and this award will come to you, this waiver will come to you within the offer letter itself. So it will come to you at this time of admission. You will know whether you've been awarded a merit waiver or international diversity waiver. For most of these, you don't have to put up a separate application. There is no separate application process required. The school itself decides and issues the award. There are some scholarships, however, which can be applied for from within the application form. So here is a list of the ones which were available previously. For this year's application, we'll wait for the actual login to open up, and then when you log in, you must check as to what all are the additional scholarship applications which you are eligible for, because each of these has a specific eligibility, and second, what is the requirement. So when you are planning your application, the rest of the parts of your application, you must plan this essay as well. Most of the times I've seen that people leave this essay for the last moment, and while they're submitting, they remember that, okay, now I have to apply for this scholarship as well. So let me just pitch in something and put it forward. So that's probably not the best way to go. Another important aspect of your plan is to first understand what is the optimal years of work experience to get into ISB. Is there actually any optimal years of work experience, or according to your years of work experience, you need to plan your application? So the average range of work experience is around 4.6 years. So what about people with 2 to 4 years of work experience, or people with 7 to 10 years of work experience? What do they need to do? If you understand the ISB class composition, you can see that admits with up to 4 years, up to 3 years of experience are around 27%. From 3 to 5 years are 42%. 5 to 8, 24.5%, and 8 years plus are around 6%. So why are these numbers important over here? Is to plan yourself properly. You need to plan as to which bracket of work experience you fall into, and according to that, you need to be sure that that is the competition, or that is the pool that you are applying for. So according to the years of experience that you are applying with to ISB or to any MBA school for that matter, you need to understand what is the percentage of intake with respect to that particular work experience, and also understand that that is the pool that you are applying for. You are not applying for 900 or 1000 seats. You are applying for 8% of them. So what is important to take care over here? Why did I get into this whole discussion at all? Is to make you understand that you should be able to address, coming from whichever pool of applicants, whichever pool of work experience, you should be able to address by now according to the pool that you represent. So for people who are applying with a lesser than average work experience, they need to understand that their academic records and their involvement in extracurricular activities or activities in college is more important than those with 5 years of work experience. Why? Because when you have 5 to 6 years of work experience, you will have some leadership stories from there to talk about. But what about people with around 2.5 years of work experience? They need to be able to show that potential at other places. They need to be able to demonstrate that potential through other stories. what happens when you are applying? How does this make a difference when you are applying with more than 7 years of work experience? When you're applying with more than 7 years of work experience, the most important question for you is why now? Because you need to be able to show or demonstrate the preparation that you have done, the research that you have done to pivot your career for the post MBA roles. So, is your past going to, position you to achieve your career goals post MBA, whatever you have planned for? So, that is a very important part of your plan for your application. And trust me, it is very important, more important than your GMAT or your academic scores, to be able to address this question in your application very properly to be successful at ISB or any other B school. This brings us to the third important element for achieving success with your ISB application is research. Why are you applying to ISB? Probably because you want to, grow within the same career, within the same industry, or probably you want to shift your role or function or shift your industry altogether. In all of these cases, you must research your short-term career goals. You must conduct research for your long-term career plans. How does this research get? How can you conduct this research? One, talk to alumni on LinkedIn. Second, research the curriculum of the school, the activities that the school conducts, what are the engagements that the school provides to its students. And third, talk to people from your school, from your previous institutions who have been to the target school, so who have been to ISB. Talk to them, talk to the current year students. They are available to address your queries, provided you ask the right questions. So if you need to conduct a research, you need to look at these four aspects very closely. So what are the sectors that have robust placements at ISB? So this is from the ISB placement records of 2021, the report which has been published by the school. So consulting is 33%, IT, ITES is around 16%, financial services and banking is 10%, technology 10%, pharma and biotech around 5%, FMCG is again 5%, e-commerce 3%. So this is the whole, out of the industry representation, this is the situation of the placements at ISB. Having said that, once you have chosen a career path, you should research as to what is expected of you on that career path. You should also research into what is the preparation required. Are there any gaps that you need to fulfill? How do you plan to fulfill them? How will ISB help you fulfill them? These are important aspects that you need to, you need to address to be able to put a successful application to ISB. So far, you've understood what matters in your application, what matters in the application process. You've planned, you've done the research. Now is the time that you come to essays. So the fourth important element of a successful application to ISB is to present your true self in your essays and throughout your application. So you know your story, focus on your story. A good essay stands out because of the content. It stands out because the way you present your spike, your fit, your goals. Your voice is important. It is not the kind of words or the vocabulary you use. Use a vocabulary that comes naturally to you. Do on that, and mandatorily, please focus on the grammar and the spell check for the essays. So coming to the last part of our discussion tonight, the fifth and in fact one of the most important elements of a successful ISB application is your preparation on the why MBA, why now, why ISB, and how do you fit into ISB. If these things are clear and your GMAT and your GPA is within range, and these things are presented in a very in a true manner to the application, to the admissions team throughout your application, then probably you are looking at a successful ISB application for sure.